Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon everyone that's watching. I'm Joshua Salam, the host of Deen Talk, and you are back with the wonderful guests, Abiha, Reverend Kristen, Shuaib, Imam Shuaib, and Abdullah. I just like to pause before your name. It's not that I don't know it. I just pause, give people time. Abdullah. So we were talking about being unapologetically Muslim, but really deeper than that, we were talking about what is this wisdom? You know, and of course, wisdom is a relative term. You know, people are going to debate it. When is it wise to do this or wise to do that? One of the stories that I like to bring up from the Muslim tradition is a story about this treaty that the Muslims were going to sign as they were all dressed up in their religious garb, going to Hajj. They had a dream. The Prophet had a dream. So it was considered revelation that this is what was going to happen. We're going to go. And they were met by the enemies. And they said, okay, let's work a contract. You guys can't come now, but you can come next year. And so when they wrote the contract, the Muslims would put like Prophet Muhammad. And the other side was like, Prophet Muhammad? No. Just put Muhammad, you know. And his companions were like, no, he's Prophet Muhammad. And we're not going to bend to that. And it was the Prophet that had to say, okay, well, just show me where it's at. We'll take it out, right? To try to, in his mind, this was the wise thing to do, as opposed to standing that I am the Prophet and that's what it is. He said, no, this treaty has a bigger issue. We'll come back next year and this and that. So when you guys are talking about praying in public, or somebody that wants to make the adhan, right? And, you know, they make the adhan, but it's so loud that everybody's like, what are they doing? It's like, man, shh, just make it. Is that being apologetic or is that being wise? And, you know, putting the feet in the sink while people are looking. Is that being apologetic or is that being wise? I want you guys to kind of hash that out. And then before the break, we're going to show something that's going to take it to a different area. So who wants to go first?
I'll go
Abdullah.
First. So, you know,
I'm sorry. Abdullah.
Thank you. All right, now I can. All right. So there's a very interesting fad on social media. I call it, you know how you have the haram police or whatever it is? I call it the impractical Muslim media. All right, impractical Muslim social media.
Okay.
And it's, you know, it's great. You know, at first when you're looking at it, face value, it looks, you know, wonderful. It shows a lot of people praying and this and that. Makes you feel good about the deen. But sometimes it shows some very impractical things about the deen. You know, we talk about obligatory, mandatory actions in Islam. Praying, you know, making wudu, all of these things are very, very important. But the deen is not meant to be a discomfort onto other people. I don't mean mentally or psychologically, because that could be attributed to bad media representation, right? What I mean by is physically. If you practicing the deen is a physical discomfort to someone else, then you have to reevaluate what's happening. What I mean by that is you'll find a post on social media of someone who pulls their car over to the side of the road, but in reality, the side of the road is not, you know, very wide, or, you know, there's not enough space. So he's blocking up one lane of traffic. And mashallah, the brother takes, you know, out his prayer rug and lays it down behind the car and, you know, does a big Allahu Akbar and he starts praying, and now he's causing a traffic jam, right? That's impractical. It's very impractical, and the deen is not meant to be that way, practiced that way. Another video was of a guy who's praying straight up in public, and there's a passageway right in front of where he's praying, so he doesn't even have a sutra, right? He actually put up his backpack and he's just praying, and now there's security guards that are pushing him, like, excuse me, sir, can you respond to us? We don't know what you're doing. People are getting freaked out, and he pushes them away, and he's like making ruku and sujood.
But on that one, that's very different from the first example,
right?
Where somebody is causing a traffic jam, and because you first said, but you know, psychological, emotion, that's something different. But now you're saying that because you're freaking people out and they don't know what's going on, this is something different.
No, that wasn't the complete story, because now you have a security or a guard, you know, asking you a question, and like, he refuses to, you know, respond because he's praying.
This is only the second rak'ah.
Yeah, exactly, right. Okay. But in that moment, you know, he should have, you know, stopped his prayer. He said, I'm sorry, I'm just praying. You know, do you think that there's a better, you know, place for me to pray? You know, because you don't want to cause, you know, a public disturbance, right? And that's what he was doing at that point. People were videotaping, people were gathering around, there's a crowd. That's not what the deen is meant to be.
Okay, but over here, public disturbance. Is it our fault if you're disturbed, like emotionally or psychologically, if I wear my headscarf, if I'm washing my feet in the sink, if I decide to pray right here and you can walk past? Should I be concerned about that? If I'm praying and the other people on the plane really believe that this plane is about to blow up, is that their fault or what?
Islamophobia has a twin problem. And that is the extremism that does exist within some Muslim communities. And it's actually a serious issue. And as Muslim, our religion teaches against extremism. Because if you look at the way of the Prophet, peace be upon him, one time somebody came to his house, 3 people came trying to find out how is the Prophet's private life so they can learn from it. They asked his wife. And when she explained to them, they felt the Prophet's not doing enough. So one of them said, well, probably because he's Prophet, his sins are forgiven. We have to do more than that. And one of them said, I'm going to never, sleep at night. I'm going to pray every night. The second one said, I'm going to fast every single day. And third one said, I'll be a celibate. I'll never get married. And when the Prophet heard this, he went to the mosque and he called the emergency call and he said, I'm the Prophet of God and I'm the one who fears God most out of all of you. He said, I sleep some nights and I pray some nights. I fast some days, I break my fast some days, and I get married to a woman. Whoever doesn't follow my way is not from me. And so there is extremism in every facet and every ideology. A person can go extreme in all of these things. And the Prophet, many traditions, he says, my way is the middle way. So we have to be balanced in our approach, and we have to recognize it's not always problems on this side. We have problems too within our own communities, and there's people that they claim to be Muslim, they try to represent Islam, but they're not educated about Islam, and they don't know what they're doing, and they take verses out of context the same way the Islamophobes take verses out of context, and they're saying, look how horrible this is, and they're saying this is what we must do. And so,
Does this sound familiar? Do you
It happens in Christianity as well, and I think that's exactly what happens. They're the same story. It happens, I imagine, in every faith tradition, but we see it in Christianity. In the one extreme example is the Ku Klux Klan, right? They believed that it was biblically based in Christianity, but that's not what I read in Scripture. That's not the way of love and justice for people. It's not welcoming the stranger, right? And so I think it exists in all traditions, but remembering that it's so few.
Abiha, do you think, since Reverend Kristen brought in this image of the KKK, the Ku Klux Klan, did I say that right? I don't know. To try to get into the minds of what we're talking about here, of the other. If I'm in a bank, or if I'm in a hotel, and I see this family walk in, and they're wearing their traditional KKK outfits, and I might get a little nervous, depending on how close they come to me, or if they're on my floor, or something like that. And if they give me a look too long as I go into my room, I'm going to be thinking some things. Do you think this is how the other is feeling and thinking when they see Muslims? This, like, oh my God, a Muslim just walked in. Is that their emotion? Where's this fear? Because you mentioned that there's this industry that's like feeding all these fears, but our reality is that we have to live in it. We're dealing with it. So, what do you think about that?
I just imagine like a little child in a Ku Klux Klan outfit. I don't know that. When you said like the whole family in their outfit, it's like, is a kid wearing that too?
That's how it
Really?
was passed down from generation to generation.
Like baby outfits?
Baby
Children would practice. This is a long time ago.
So it's hate, right? It's hate that is taught,
Yes.
and this industry of Islamophobia that exists. So the DC Justice for Muslims Coalition, our goal is to combat structural Islamophobia, right? So it's when Islamophobia is being ingrained in the laws, and we have to challenge it at that. So what we're talking about with feet washing, praying in public spaces, that's very like interpersonal and could have to do with bad media representation. It could do with stereotypes and representation in media, movies, Hollywood has been notorious, not just for Muslims now, but for minorities since time immemorial, since they created cameras and stuff. So that's an issue that is different. So tell me, so you're saying interpersonal versus structural, like?
Yeah, I just want to make sure, like, I think it's important for Muslims to try to understand the other, right? When you only seek to be understood, and I think sometimes maybe that's the issue. The Muslims like, look, I'm Muslim. Let me teach you about Islam. If you only knew about Islam, you would, I would break down these barriers. Do you think there's some effort that needs to happen for Muslims to understand the fear and the psyche of the other.
Absolutely. And I just want to say one thing that people ask me all the time, like at different town halls and stuff, like, oh, shouldn't I go back to my family and teach them? I say yes, but it's not my job as a Muslim to teach you to respect my humanity. And that's what's happening here, is people's humanity is being completely disregarded, completely disrespected and destroyed on the basis of these fears that are. So yes, I absolutely understand. We have a lot of allies in our coalition who believe very strongly in what's happening, who've done the research, who have opened a book, who have a basic understanding of Islam and recognize that they have that privilege and they need to stand up for Muslims who might in those situations not. So in like a encounter where, say, you're on public transportation, there's a Muslim person there and someone's ranting at them, sure, that Muslim person, say, I'm that Muslim person. Yes, I can sit there and be like, I wonder why you're yelling at me and cursing me out. Did you have breakfast this morning? Like, or I could be like, hey, let me teach you about my religion. That is a time when bystanders, and we've been doing a lot of bystander intervention trainings because it falls on the people in that situation who have that privilege to step in. Because absolutely, we're all in this together. And
this is like, I don't know how you did that. Did somebody, you got a wire in your ear? Somebody's talking to you? No. She just did the transition that I was looking for. We're going to take a break, and we're going to show you this video. It went viral on the internet of this. It's on a train scene, like a subway or something like that, and a Muslim kind of gets ranted at by a person. And it sounds like they may be from a different country as well, or have some other roots, maybe an immigrant. And it gets kind of heated, and then somebody else steps in to intervene. So I want everybody to check this out. We're going to play this short video, and then we're going to come right back to Dean Talk. Don't go anywhere.
This Dean TV video was made possible in part by Islamic Relief USA, working together for a better world, by Guidance Residential, the #1 Islamic home financer in the U.S., and by Recycle Processes Incorporated.